8 charts that will change the way you see dating. And honestly, I kind of like these type of charts because instead of just pure anecdotal evidence that people like to throw around with things, there's numbers. And, you know, in most cases, the numbers don't lie. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, video by Love Made Logical. Let's see what they talking about.
This is a chart showing how men perceive women's attractiveness. Looks pretty normal. Men tend to perceive women's attractiveness on a standard bell curve.
Okay.
On the scale of
Simple
1 to
enough.
5, the average is 2.83, with the most common rating being 3. 8% are above the 4 and 17% below a 2. All pretty normal. And here is how women perceive men.
Whoa, that is a huge dip. Like that's actually kind of crazy, because when you think about it, you're looking at this and you're just like, wait a minute, that means more of them find, you know, guys less attractive than the other way around, which is kind of insane to think about.
Doesn't look so good for men. Taking this at face value, only 1 in 6 men are above average in an absolute sense. And if
Wow,
we
that's
translate
crazy.
this plot to something more familiar, like IQ, then we have a world where women think 58% of men are brain damaged. When we dive a little deeper, though, it becomes clear this isn't a men are too ugly to date thing. It's a men are too ugly to hook up with thing.
Uh-oh.
This is OkCupid, one of the biggest dating sites in the world. And this is Christian Rudder, the former CEO of the platform. In 2009, looking to promote the platform, Rudder and his team began to release data from the site, giving us an insight into what the dating market really looks like behind closed doors.
Yeah.
In 2014, he released the book Dataclysm, summarizing much of the data revealed by the site. Within the book, Rudder displays the differences between how men and women view each other's attractiveness on the site. But when asked about it in an interview promoting the book and platform, this is what he had to say.
Tinder, those curves move even further apart. Match, they move
yeah,
closer
Tinder.
together. The male curve barely moves. It's really the female curve that moves around. The men kind of have the same curve on all 3 sites, and it's the female curve that moves around.
Yeah, no, Tinder. No, I bet, because when you have an idea of this, moreover, where you have this concept of just straight up, oh, initial face value, I don't like this person, swipe, I don't like this person, swipe, you tend to become desensitized by the idea of building an actual connection. So it's more so like, you know, your window shopping. It's just like, nah, I don't like this, I don't like that, I'm just scrolling. You know, much like, you know, the algorithm when you're scrolling through shorts, it's just like, you kind of scroll till you find one you kind of like, you kind of just stay on it for a little bit, and then you keep on scrolling. The same thing with these dating apps. It's a constant scroll, and, you know, the initial perceived value based off the, I guess, the couple of seconds you look at the picture will determine, I guess, the ideal level of attractiveness or whatever.
When OkCupid was acquired by the Match Group in 2011, Rudder got access to the rest of the Match Group's biggest platform's data. The 2 biggest of which at the time, Match.com and Tinder, give us a lot of insight into what's really going on here. Although charts or data were never posted, we can estimate based on what Rudder said. This is an estimate of how women perceive men on Match.com. And this is an estimate of how women perceive men on Tinder.
Again, very consistent bell curve with the guys, right? Yeah, when it comes down to the women, it's kind of like most of the people they perceive as, you know, you're not really that attractive. But again, it has more so to do with the culture and climate that we're in today. A lot of people are into the hookup culture type of concept. So when you have that, now you have a metric where it's just like, okay, well, they might have, you know, other perceived qualities that, you know, you may never know about because you're just swiping, so you don't really know. So now you just have people just like, well, if I wouldn't hook up with this person, then they're not really that attractive. So yeah, most people, well, yeah, on this side here in the spectrum, it's kind of like, okay, you know, if they're not attractive enough for me to hook up with them, then they're just not attractive straight up. And when it comes to these things, it's not always gray. It's just straight up white or black, you know. It's just like, you know, there it is. It just shows right here.
Tinder. We can see that for women, as the dating site becomes more casual in nature, the standards climb. Although people like to push the narrative that women are delusional and have too high standards, the data seems to say the relatively high standards are only for casual intimacy, which when you consider the additional risks women take on with intimacy, the relatively high standards seem reasonable. Essentially, women are thinking, if I'm going to take the risk of a casual hookup, you better be attractive.
Yep, and that's the thing.
The next
right
question's
there.
then,
No one's really thinking long term. It's just kind of like, okay, in the moment, she's probably thinking if he's attractive, then all right, it's cool. But yeah, it's something that, you know, it's not really a lot of thought taken into it for real, especially on
what
these
makes someone
sites.
attractive? To answer this question, I'd like to bring forward a study from 2016, looking at what women look for in a speed dating context. The study started by giving women a list of 6 traits and asking them to assign points to each trait based on how important it was to them. The average distribution of points the women provided looked like this. All attributes given near even value. After completing the dates, the women were asked to assign the points to the men at the dating event. Then, which men they were going to see again. This is the chart displaying the actual distribution.
Okay. Yeah, and so what a lot of people have to understand, sometimes what women say, what they respond to, are two different things. Yes, politically correct. The politically correct way for anyone to really say is, oh, I want someone to be, you know, attractive, but I also want them to be fun, intelligent, you know, all these other attributes, right? But when they actually put that into practice and reveal what's actually most important, it's clear that attractiveness is going to take over. And that's just the way it is. You know, humans in general, we're all visual creatures. Both men and women are very visual creatures. Now, as far as the preferences, notice over here too, right? The fun aspect. Again, it's the idea of, well, if I'm gonna casually hook up with this person anyway, they gotta be at least, attractive. And then the fun aspect obviously comes with it. You know, all these other attributes are basically, especially for a guy, null and void unless he patches this metric here. I'm not saying that that's the end all be all, you know, this metric here. But what I am saying is, in most cases, you know, you can have this, you know, all this stuff, but in most cases, I would say, like with most people, not just men, but men and women, this metric right here, attractiveness, plays a huge role in whether, you know, you want to take that person seriously or be with them. So yeah, this is very important.
What was seen as important by the women at the event. Physical attractiveness was by far the most important attribute, with the amount of positive responses and level of physical attractiveness having an astonishingly large correlation coefficient of 0.801.
They really did the math.
For comparison, the correlation coefficient between IQ and academic performance is 0.54. Think about that for a second. For those wondering, online dating shows an even stronger correlation, with the data from OkCupid showing a 0.92 correlation coefficient between physical attractiveness and the perceived attractiveness of a profile. Confirming what a lot of men have recently begun to realize: physical attractiveness is just as important to women as it is for men. Women just don't admit it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's another thing too. Like I said, both men and women are visual creatures. However, one openly admits that, like, yeah, you know, if she doesn't look good, then it's, you know, it's a no-go for me. Now, with the women, it's just like, you know, they'll say on the surface, you know, he got to have a great personality, he got to do this and all that stuff, but it's also assuming attraction here. You know, with guys, you know, they openly admit it. Yeah, she just has to look good. But women is kind of like, you know, they say all the other attributes without leaving out the fact that, yes, the person has to be attractive. And again, everyone likes nice things to look at. So, I mean, it's not unheard of. It's not anything surprising. But it's just, you know, everyone just got to be honest with themselves and be all like, you know, a person could be ambitious, funny, you know, have all these other attributes. But if they don't pass the first barrier of entry, which is, you know, at least being physically attractive to that person, then it's just like all the other attributes pretty much don't matter. Of course, most of them are just saturated with guys. So like most of them are guys are on there, you know, And the male to female ratio on there is pretty staggering. There's way more dudes on there than females. But the thing about it is, when it comes to these type of sites, right, most of the time it's always, again, the top 5% is really the ones getting the most matches, and the rest of the guys just fall below, basically don't even exist essentially on that platform. So yeah, you know, it's crazy too. But on the flip side, like, you could be like the most attractive guy on there, but your matches are going to pale in comparison to like an average looking female on these apps. And that's just the way it is, because again, the saturation, the ratio of male to female is going to be different. So there's going to be more guys trying to message the average girl than, you know, the other way around. Like, imagine like you can get more play being unemployed than working in like a restaurant or something, or like, you know, something in that realm with labor or something. Like, that's crazy. Like, and these are the numbers. Like, the numbers don't lie. Like, this is crazy. Imagine just like, man, losing to someone who's unemployed, and at least you're doing something, at least you trying something, but they're just like, nah, that ain't it. Crazy, man.
And up here in the corner, the highest paid and most attractive career option for men, legal/attorney. Maybe your parents were right about considering law school. Something I've heard discussed a lot over the last few years is how men get better with age while women only get less desirable. And while the former is true, the latter isn't. This is a chart showing the age at which men and women are most desirable to each other at every age. The thing that sticks out the most is that men's preferences don't really change as they age, always being the most interested in women 20 to 22. I think we all knew that, though. Something I don't think most men realize is that the prime demographic they're interested in, 20 to 22-year-old women, are most interested in 21 to 25-year-old guys. That's your peak, guys. It's not your early 30s, and it's certainly not 38. It is worth noting that as a man, you'll receive the most attention from women in general between the ages of 25 to 30. This essentially means men have two primes. A first prime from the ages of 21 to 25, when prime women, 20 to 23, are most attracted to you. And a second prime from ages 25 to 30, when you get the most attention from women overall. I think it's also worth pointing out that even women start wanting to date a little younger as they get older. Dating truly is a younger man's game, and despite men seeming to age better in women's eyes than women do in men's eyes, Father Time continues to stay undefeated.
Yeah.
Now,
and that's what people have to realize too. On both ends, time is just gonna be something. But the reason why, as a guy age, he's perceived to step into his groove a little bit better is because typically once you reach a certain age, typically that kind of hints at, okay, you're more stable in your life. You got a little bit more money in your pocket. You know, you have that stability when it comes to that age as a guy. So you're more likely to be able to take care of a family at that age, you know, settle down, do all these other things. So that's why that's the perceived age at which you're deemed a little bit more attractive, because, you know, they look for somebody who can, you know, provide and protect and all that stuff. So typically you have better resources at the ages like between, like, I think it's like 30 to 35 or whatever. Typically you're more stable financially and all that. So you got everything together essentially.
there's one more thing in the What Makes You Click study I want to show you. When reading through the study, I found this. The researchers concluded that both men and women's height preferences depend on their own height. Basically, being shorter than a woman will on average make you be seen as significantly less attractive than a man of the same height as her,
Nothing too
and
crazy
in
there.
a whole nother category than men taller than her. I don't think this is too surprising,
It isn't.
but here's something I think will be. Yes, this is men's height preferences for women. Outside of being reversed, men prefer women shorter than themselves.
Obviously.
Men's height preferences for women are nearly identical to women's height preferences for men, which makes sense when you think about it. Would you want to date a girl 5 inches taller than you? Women feel the same way about dating men shorter than them. Although men and women think similar in regards to height, one thing they don't think similar in regards to is divorce.
Uh-oh.
A commonly thrown around statistic is that women initiate 69% of divorces. But here's another stat that makes it even crazier.
Uh-oh.
If we look at the percentage of same-sex divorces that are male-male versus female-female, we see that female-female relationships are responsible for 78% of same-sex divorces. Female-female marriages are more common than male-male ones, though, 55-45 split. So, we have to adjust for this. After we adjust for the differences in relationship commonality, the relative split of same-sex divorces are 69% women, 31% men. Despite men and women not even being involved in each other's relationships, the divorce percentages remain the same.
Wow.
Pretty unbelievable.
That is crazy to think about, considering that, you know, the community or whatever is a very small percentage of the world at large in general. So considering that, you know, the ratios and the numbers still balance out regardless of, you know, which way you're swinging or whatever, it is really saying something.
Right? The current common hypothesis is this is due to trait neuroticism, which measures one's sensitivity to negative emotions. If you take a random man and woman, the woman will be more sensitive to negative emotion, more neurotic, 62% of the time.
Yeah.
This is why women are commonly seen as more emotional and volatile, both sub-characteristics of neuroticism.
More emotional.
What this means for divorce, though, is that in 62% of relationships, the woman will feel the problems in the relationship more than the man will, which explains a large portion of this seemingly astonishing statistic.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. It's just like when it comes to, you know, in general, being more emotional, yeah, as a guy, you can kind of just be not desensitized, but kind of just put off by certain things. If you're in a relationship or whatever, you know, your woman may not be. So it's just like, it's, again, it goes back to what he was saying about who's more sensitive to, you know, certain things going on and who's not. And that's essentially what it is, when pertaining to certain factors. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna leave this video there. This is very interesting. I liked all the charts, all the numbers and everything like that. And comment down below your thoughts on the matter. What do you think about this? Do you think that they did a little bit too much as far as digging or not enough? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll catch you guys next time.